guy, so forth and so on. And my background is as a financial advisor. But one of the things that you need in order to survive as a financial advisor is the ability to set appointments. So over the years, I learned how to reach out to strangers via email. I mean, I've gotten meetings with George Lucas's wife, a lot of crazy people I've emailed and gotten meetings with. So one of my friends, she said, "Hey, can you help me to get speaking gigs? I know that you can set meetings with people." And my response was, "I probably can't help you to get the gig, but I can get you the meeting with the event planner or the podcaster, whomever you want to reach out to." So we started to do that. And it was really easy. Like in a week, I had set like 10 meetings for her. And she was like, "Whoa, this is great." And I'm like, "All right, leave me alone because this was too easy. People pay me to do the hard stuff. They don't want to do this. They don't want to pay me to do this easy stuff." So she was like, "No, I don't think you understand how hard this is for people that don't know what you know." Right. So after going back and forth, we decided to try to solve this problem. And I went out and I decided to invest in buying and building software that could solve this problem for speakers. Now, before I show you this, I want to show you why I thought this was important. So I'm going to share my screen with you. And I want to share with you why being proactive instead of a passive speaker is like the game changer here, right? So if I go here to this, this thing is called the 2021 State of the Speaking Industry. I don't know if you've ever seen this, but this other competing speaker company, they did interviews of like 1,000 speakers to find out what they were good at, right? 82% said the main source of anxiety was from revenue generation. How do they get gigs, right? And most of the speakers were solopreneurs, so they were working by themselves. So they didn't have a team of people doing the outreach for them. They were just, really focused on speaking. But here's what I found out that I thought was very interesting. Only 14% of speakers are proactively looking for gigs. So that means that 85% of your competition is working on a referral-only basis. Now, that's not bad, but you can't control your life if you're waiting on other people to choose you. One of my favorite books is by a guy named Joel Freeman, and it's called "If Nobody Loves You, Create the Demand," which means be proactive with what you're trying to get out of life. And I believe that that's true with speaking. Because as a speaker, since you're the speaker, the accountant, the salesperson, the janitor, you're all of that in your business most of the time. I call them Franken speakers because they're marketing with this arm and they're selling with this arm and they're speaking with their heart and then they're strategizing with their brain. And we said, well, how do we help them to simplify this? Can I take the sales arm and make it automated? Can I take the sales arm and take some of the stress out of this speaker's life? So we created this piece of software that we call PitchDB. And basically PitchDB has almost 3 million contacts, over 2.5 million podcasts, and then another 400,000 to 500,000 event planners, local associations, media outlets, and things of that sort. So what I want to do is just quickly show you what PitchDB does so that you can see how effective this is. But that's the backstory, right? So the idea was, in the past, everybody wanted to be on Oprah, right? If you got on Oprah's book club or Oprah's 10 best things, well, you got in front of 50 million people on that Thursday at 3 p.m., but probably only 100,000 of them were in your audience. So you had to have a very generic audience, right? So I tell people that the world used to be controlled by people with megaphones, ABC, CBS, NBC. But nowadays, the world is controlled by people with microphones. It's the podcast. It's the small Facebook groups where they may not have 5 million people listening, but they may have 50,000 people that mean something to you, right? So I'm a firm believer of going on a podcast or doing a speaking gig of any size. I did a gig the other day that had 7 people in it, right? But 6 of them became PitchDB clients because they were my people. So someone could brag and say, "Oh, I talked to 10,000 people." Yeah, but if only 6 people bought, you would have been more efficient just talking to the 6, right? So that's what PitchDB allows you to do. It allows you to sit in the comfort of your own home, but be able to be proactive with the gigs that you want to reach out to. So can everyone see my screen here? Is this making sense so far? The logic behind what we've built?
I can see your screen. Yeah.
All right.
Please
so
put
this
in
is
the
the
chat if it
dashboard.
doesn't.
Okay, seems like everybody can see it. So, but this is the dashboard of PitchDB. Again, my background is in sales, and salespeople hate a couple of things. Number one, moving data. Number two, doing things that we think are just monotonous, right? And then number three, doing anything that's not selling, right? So we try to simplify all of that in here. We didn't want you moving data because you buy a lot of courses and they'll give you a list of speaking gigs, but now you got to go and verify the emails and search through an Excel sheet. And it's just hard to go through. We said, let's eliminate that. Why don't we put all the data in one place, all of the tracking in one place, and all of the sending in one place? So with PitchDB, you can search for gigs, you can reach out to them directly, and then you can track your annual progress, right? We always say in the sales game, that which gets measured is that which matters, right? So if you're not measuring what you're doing on an activity basis, you probably don't have a really good sales department in your speaking business, right? I can almost tell you that if you were to talk to McDonald's or Starbucks, they would never turn off their marketing. Why? Because that would stop people from coming into McDonald's and Starbucks. But speakers, we turn off our marketing all the time because we have to go speak. We're like, I got to do this. I can't do any marketing today. I got to do this. I can't reach out because I got to do this. But we want to try to help you not have to deal with that. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
All right, so let me show you how we solve this, right? So let's say, for instance, I wanted to go on a podcast, right? So I would just click on podcast here and I would go to episodes. And let's say I wanted to go on podcast about public speaking. Public speaking, right?
That's my
So I can
audience.
come-
I'm speaking to speakers.
There we go. So I can type in public speaking and you can see instantly it brought up 727 podcasts that are on that topic, right? So this one is even in French or something like that, right? So, but I can come over here and talk to Carol Cox. I can click on her podcast. I can listen to all the episodes. So it's going to play here in the background, right? So I can listen. I don't have to go to her page and see what people think about her. I can click on here and read the reviews. So everything that I need is right there in front of me, right? This probably saves you 20 minutes just doing that, right? But if I want to reach out to her, all I do is add her to a contact list, and I'll just add her to the A1 Tribes list here. But you can make your own. Oh, she's already there. Perfect, right? But now I can come over to my contacts, and once it's going to load a list of people that I've added as podcasters or speaking gigs that I would like to reach out to. And let's see, come on, Zoom. All right, here it is here, right? So basically what happens is that I can make a list and it costs nothing to make a list. So you're not using any of your credits to make this list of people that you want to reach out to. So now all I do is I click on there, and this is the Coaching Masters podcast. Let's say I wanted to reach out to them. I just click pitch. And it's going to tell me, hey, Ron, you're going to use one of your credits and you're going to be sending from the email address that you connected. So you connect your personal email. Your people that you're reaching out to, they don't know that PitchDB exists. We're the invisible man in your machine. Okay. We're just trying to save you the time. We want to save you 2 to 3 hours a day by using us. So I would just click confirm, right? And it's going to go to the mailbox here. And now I can just come in here and I can just drop in a template asking about being on their show, make a few edits, hey, I thought this was great that you covered that, and then hit send. And I'm done, right? Now, not only can I do that for podcasters, I can do that for local associations. So let's say you wanted to, I used to be a financial advisor. So let's say I wanted to go talk at the local insurance associations in any state in the country. So I'll type in insurance there. I click insurance, click search. Now I can go and ask if they're looking for someone for their March, their June, or their September conference, right? And I can ask them, hey, are you looking for speakers for this event or an upcoming event? Does that make sense? And it's the same process. I just add them to the list. They end up in contacts, right? I go back over to my contacts page. That person's already in there. I've done this demo 1,000 times. But it goes back to the contacts page, and then I just send the email. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, I'll just chime in here that it really is that easy. So I've been using it for about a week, sending out my first few pitches and things like that. And it really does make it streamlined. I'm like, oh, I guess I'm done with all my pitches today, you know?
Yeah.
Um,
And people ask all the time, they say, well, what's the results of reaching out with PitchDB? It's going to be the same results that you would have gotten reaching out via email to anyone based on who you are, your background, your experience, because we're just loading the information into your email account, right? We don't have a special relationship with these people. We just went and saved you the time of having to go find them. Does that make sense? Now, I want to show you something that's really cool before I show you how effective this is. We've added this new thing last week where everyone who's a part of PitchDB, they'll get added into the speaker search, so that this is just being tested out now. But imagine having your profile where podcasters and event planners can just find you and reach out to you because you're a PitchDB user. So in the next week, there'll be over 1,200 people that'll be in the speaker search, and you'll be able to put your topics and people can find you in PitchDB's database. Make sense?
It's awesome. And I know we're already getting some questions in the chat. And so I want to just pause here and hold our questions for the end, actually, because I know Marty has a couple more tools to present. But Ron, can you tell us a little bit about the pricing structure of this? And then we'll hold the questions about how it works just for another 15 minutes or so.
Okay, so here's the basics of how PitchDB works. A lot of our clients are agencies that do pitching for people, but we have a personal plan for professional speakers that gives you 100 pitches per month for $97, right? And every month you get a new 100 pitches. If you were to use those up, you can come down and buy a refill for that month, and it won't, you're not having to unsubscribe to something else, right? But wait, there's more, right? I wouldn't be a sales guy if I didn't say that. So after talking with Amanda, she was like, hey, can you make a special deal for my group of people for our webinar? And I said, well, yeah, let's see how we can do that. So we came up with a lifetime account where you can pay once and you'll get PitchDB forever, right? So you can pick different levels of PitchDB. So I just put my name in here and I'll put the link in the chat box, but you can get 10 pitches every month. Right now, that'll get you on about 2 podcasts every month and probably 1 local association gig, right? Or you can get 20 pitches every month for $197, excuse me. And then we have a 50 pitch plan that's $497, in which you'll get 50 pitches every single month for life, right? Or until, we go bankrupt, but I don't think we're ever going to do that, right? But 20 pitches a month, 10 pitches a month, or 50. Now, I'm always a big believer that people should probably buy the 50 pitch plan. And I'll tell you why, because that's 5 pitches a day, right? If you send out 5 pitches a day and as quickly as I just showed you how to do it, you will have reached out to 50 people every month. You could be the worst speaker on earth and you'll get booked someplace. The reason being is because you've reached out to so many people. The law of large numbers just works in your favor at that point. Remember, only 14% of speakers are actually reaching out to people for gigs, right? Only 14%. Now, real quick, if I can, Amanda, I want to show you all what came up. So I reached out, we were doing this as a service for our clients at one point before we built the software. So I'm going to show you exactly what we said, what the results were, and who we reached out to and got these results with. And I think you'll be impressed a little bit. Not a lot, but a little bit. Right?
Awesome. We're going to wrap up in 2 minutes, Ron. So
okay, yeah, this will take less than 2 minutes. Yeah. This will be perfect. I appreciate it. All right, let's go to John. And John Lawson is a client of ours. And we reached out to 69 organizations for him. And out of those 69 organizations, 49 of them actually read his pitch that we sent. 20 of them replied back asking him to take the next steps. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Let's see who these organizations were really quick. I got 45 seconds left. So that was Inc., TechCrunch, Forbes, TED, Moz, which has about 5 million people visit their website every month. So we weren't pitching some little bitty rinky dinky, barely making it thing. These were large conferences. The volume of people at the attendance of those conferences were here on the right, 500, 1,000, so forth and so on. Here's what I wanted to show you. Proactivity beats inactivity. This is all that we sent. And we got a 60% response rate, right? So we didn't send a whole long resume. We said, hey, are you looking for speakers? That's all we want to know, right? It's no different than if someone approached you at a bar. Hey, how are you doing today? You don't go over and say, hey, let me tell you about my last 5 boyfriends or my last 5 girlfriends. And you see those 2 people, I would go out on a date with them. They would think you were a weirdo. That's what a lot of event planners, how they feel. They think speakers are weirdos because they send these long pitches. But this little pitch right here got a 60% response rate. So I'm going to rest at this point, and I'll put the lifetime account link in the chat. And I look forward to answering your questions at the end of the day.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ron. I know this is like somewhat kind of quick and dirty here, but it really is just like, let's see what the tools are, jump in if they make sense to you, and let's just start trying them out and getting pitches. I mean, getting gigs here. So thank you so much, Ron. And now we have a few more different kind of tools here that Marty's going to present. Marty believes truly that right now is the best time in history to be in the speaking business. He is the 2-time co-author of Web Marketing All-in-One for Dummies. He co-hosts the Make Money Speaking Club on Clubhouse with Lois Kramer, and he's built 3 businesses through speaking over the past 25 years. Marty works with business owners and speakers who want to improve their speaking skills and support each other, which I know you guys love to do, as they contact decision makers so they can fill their calendar with speaking opportunities, increase engagement, and deliver their best performances too. He is the founder of Speakers Speak Group on Facebook and Speakers Speak Live, where professional speakers practice speaking, and Speaker Theater, where he puts speakers in the spotlight. So he is definitely in the speaking world. And he also believes the easiest part of the speaking business is actually finding the opportunities to speak. So here to prove that theory to us right here and now is Marty Dickinson. Take it away, Marty. Oh, got you on mute, Marty. Sorry. Don't want to miss a word. Can you unmute? Oh, do I have to ask you to unmute? Let's see. Still muted, Marty.
Sorry, my bad.
There we go. There we go.
Oh my goodness. You know, you think you have everything all put together and then chaos occurs. Wow. Thank you, Amanda. Amanda was just on my program speaking to my group, if you came in late and didn't hear that. And now I'm turning around speaking to her group. In 25 years of speaking, I don't think that's ever happened before where we've had that fast of a reciprocal, I speak to your group, you speak to mine. I mean,
the same day.
It just goes to show how tightly knit our group is as speakers. I mean, really, we're one big happy family, and once we get introduced to somebody else's group, it's such an easy slide in to fit into that group because we all go through the same challenges, we go through a lot of the same experiences, and we all have the same mission, and that is to get our message out to the world. And one of the things that we do quite often is we refer things that we like to the people in our families. So that's simply what I'm going to do. I would be referring Ron's system to you today. I have 5 slides in this presentation that I removed because I knew Ron was going to be giving this presentation. But when I'm usually showing this to people, his system is the last one that I show because I really, quite frankly, think everything else is inferior to Ron's system. So I fully support it. As I show you a couple of other options, I certainly don't want you to think that they are in competition with Ron, but maybe a stepping stone, because maybe you are newer to the speaking field. Maybe you don't have as much revenue as you used to. I know $1 million speakers that are starving right now, so they wouldn't even be able to afford Ron's system right now, the way that they're thinking. But of course, if you can't afford these systems that I'm going to be able to show you, that's even more important to invest in them. So let's get to a couple of them here. I'm going to show you 4, like I said before, usually it's 5 sources for finding actual decision makers. And let's get the most obvious one out of the way. This is the one everybody talks about. Well, just go to Google or mine your social networks, Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter and all those. Great, lots of opportunities to do that. I'm not going to go and spend a bunch of time on those because everybody else does. Here's a good one for you. It's called growthtools.com. They are a web tools developer. And if you go to agent.growthtools.com, you will see this screen and you'll need to start a free account and to get into the database actually. And yep, you're going to get emails, you'll be into their funnel and you'll get people sending you stuff all the time, but it's really worth it to be in the system anyway, because you simply pick what category you want. And then it gives you a drill down of all these places that are looking for speakers. And if you click on details for any one of those, it will give you, as you'll see on the right column, the name and the email address of a person. Now, unlike PitchDB, you do not use this system to actually send the email. You just copy and paste it, you put it in your own CRM or email client, and you just send emails one by one. They have sort of a basic CRM in this because you can actually flag places that you've already sent something to, but I don't use any of that stuff. You can just go in here and just kind of scan, especially if you're local. They have a really good listing of local organizations and associations at the state level. Good for that. So here's another one for you, 10times.com. 10times.com is a gigantic directory of events. If you have an event and it is of any authority, it's in the system. So I put all these little red marks around for a client because she got inundated when she went to this website. You're like, well, how do I actually get to find a contact? So I put all these red boxes around where you can pick your category, and I even picked a date range, give me a list of all events within it was like 10 months of a time period. And I just want to see conferences, but I could have picked workshops and trade shows as well. And I only am interested in those that are in the US. So then I picked banking and finance because that is her niche. She works with AR, gathering funds after the fact. And so she needs to be out there speaking to banking and finance organizations and associations and companies that do that kind of work. So from there, it gave us a whole big list of all these events that you could potentially participate in. And then I just wanted to show this to you too, because this particular event is managed by an actual company called DC Finance that has 20 upcoming events around the world that they are managing. So I showed her this and I said, so the next thing that you do is you can go to the contacts button. And of course, the system wants you to use their system to make the contact. But, I'm cheap. I just went around the system. I went to their website and lo and behold, there's a contact us on their website. And even better than that, they have a head of the US market. And so I gave this to Dee and she contacted these people and she's talking with them. This is like within the past few days. So it's not like she's made any real headway yet, but they're in discussion anyway. She could get up to 14 locations that are perfect fits for her to be talking about her topic.
Love
so that's
it.
why I come back to the original question that I had on my first screen, which is how many speaking opportunities do you really want? A lot of people, when they start out in speaking, they say, oh, Marty, I want to speak 300 days a year. Really? You want to be Zig Ziglar out there? I mean, every day of the week, you'll have like no life. Let's talk about realistic. And this process enables you to do that. So I just want to cover one more for you. And this is called Charlie Jane. And I have this link up here, which is herenextyear.com/CharlieReg, which stands for register. Herenextyear.com is my website. So this is obviously an affiliate link. And the reason I have an affiliate link for this is because I approached the owner of this company that we're working on getting a joint venture together with my speakers group. And I said, well, you only allow people to subscribe to this system about 4 to 5 times a year. I need to be able to bring somebody into my program and give them access to all these conferences you offer immediately. And she, how can I do that? She said, well, let's just make you an affiliate. That's a back door that allows people to come in whenever they want. So there you go. I don't even know how much she's going to pay as an affiliate. I don't even care. It's probably minuscule anyway, but there it is. If you sign up for it and you join one of my programs, great. I'll, refund the commission to you. I don't care. I just want you to be able to have access to this because it is only conferences. And every other week I get an alert from these people that say we've just added another 150 conferences. I mean, it's just absurd how many speaking opportunities are out there. So when you sign up for this, you get access to a gigantic Google Drive document. It's longer than I could even show on this screen. So I cut it up into pieces for you where you can see the name of the conference and then what the conference is about, what they're looking for speakers, a link to get to the guidelines for how to make a proposal to speak at the conference, and then where it is. Some are virtual, some are in US, some are not in US. They have international listings as well. I just took a snapshot. So why am I willing to reveal all these little secrets? That question always comes up. And the answer to that is this. I was giving a speech about this and showing these topics a couple of weeks ago, and I was actually in person. It was one of my first in-person speeches over the past 2 years, and they happened to actually have a brick wall. And I said to one of the people that was there, I said to Ray, Ray, if I put $100,000 in the parking lot, how could you get to that $100,000? And he said, oh, well, that's easy. I just run out the door and go into the parking lot. And I said, all right, now what if I was to promise you there is a bag of $1 million in the parking lot, but you had to go through that brick wall? And he said, well, I'd get Tom's truck and I'd bring Tom's truck in here and I'd plow right through the wall. And I said, amazing. Everybody applauded, that great creativity, because he wanted that $1 million so bad. Well, here's your brick wall. I don't care how many contacts I give you. I don't care how many contacts Ron is willing to send your way. Eventually there comes a time where you have to be strong enough and motivated enough to pick up the darn phone and talk to these people. And that is the brick wall that I am seeing in the speaking industry. There are thousands and thousands of people trying to get into this business, and this is what they hit. They are afraid to pick up the phone, whether the contact comes into them or they make the outbound call themselves. So I had to come up with a solution for that, and I call it Speakers Speak Pro. In May, we started Speakers Speak Group on Facebook. In June, we started Speakers Speak Live for professional speakers to practice their speaking skills. And it was just a natural evolution to start Speakers Speak Pro. And what Speakers Speak Pro is just two things. I want you to identify the number of speaking opportunities you want, and we're going to get the dates filled together. This is not just a Marty and you together. This is a community all working together, where we will have one meeting each month that only lasts an hour, and we are going to brag on wins to get you all fired up for the next month. And after that, I'm going to pair you with an accountability partner that you will spend the next 3 weeks with. So every month you'll get rotated to a different accountability partner. And I've found that to be hugely important in successful mastermind groups, because you always want to make a good impression. You are not anywhere possibly going to come close to missing those 3 meetings because you're just getting to know each other. National Speakers Association assigns you a mentor, but after only a couple of months, where's your mentor? You haven't talked to that person in weeks and weeks and weeks. It just doesn't work. You need to be really driven to talk with this person and support each other along the way. And you have to make an investment to do that. If you're not willing to invest in yourself as a speaker, you're not going to get very far in this business. It happens over and over and over again. Everybody needs coaching. Everybody needs support. And everybody needs results. We just started this thing 3 weeks ago, and I got a direct message from one of our participants, Cindy, and she says, I got my first gig January. It's a 4-week program. If all goes well, this is going to be a countrywide event. Holy buckets. It's all coming together. Did I tell you I'm having the best time of my life? Now, Cindy, I've known for 4 years, and I've said, Cindy, when are you going to get out there and speak? And it's never happened. Finally, she joined this program, and in 2 weeks, she gets this offer. It's because she has an accountability partner. And that is what Speakers Speak Pro is all about. There's all kinds of bonuses and all kinds of things that you want to have on your website and scripts that we provide and support along the way. But I really just want you to focus on the one thing that is going to prevent you from using any of these tools, and that is that wall. You've got to do something with that wall to crash through it. Your message has to be important enough. And if it is, then give me a call, send an email to me. There's no sales page to send you to. I don't need to do that. You know, we're partnering with National Speakers Association for 2022. We're going to speaker colleges. We're going to be having a lot of people in this program. The price is going to go up. It is a grandfather rate right now. I don't even need to go into details about that. Just if you're interested in something like this, let's connect. I have to talk to everybody individually before you qualify for this program. So I hope you benefit from some of those tools. Some of you will do, nothing. Some will go off on your own and use these tools on your own. That's wonderful. That's wonderful. I wish you the best of luck. Please connect with me so that I can support you in what you're doing, no matter if we work together or not. And definitely join speakerspeakgroup.com, because it is vitally important right now that you are hanging around other speakers wanting to do what you're doing.
Thank you, Marty. Wow, powerful message there. And what I love about Marty, ever since I met him through a speaker friend, Marty is about rubber meets the road. He wants to get this done with you, help you all the way. And it's so wonderful. I'm considering this such a great add-on to the speaker training that I do. I like to work on what goes on stage. And so that's why you guys are here, because we got to get you to that stage. And so I hope you will look into Marty's program and give him a call. It's not expensive. Don't be afraid of the price. It's definitely a grandfathered rate that will be going up, but he also has made, just like Ron, a ridiculous deal for us right now. We're kind of getting in on the ground floor. All of these tools are like arriving on our doorstep here, and it's just up to us to get out there and use them. So thank you so much, Marty and Ron, both for presenting. I asked them to do their presentations quickly so that we could just power pack this time together. And I asked them to wrap it up so that we could have some time for Q&A. I want to know what's on your mind, what questions you still have for them. Your questions are very valuable to them as they continue to present this. So please ask, what they can fill in the gaps with, and what else you need to get out there and get these gigs. So I know Leander had a question, and I just saw Elizabeth's hand as well. Let's go to Leandra first. Is she still here? Where'd you go?
I am still here.
Oh, you're right there in the middle. Okay, thank you. Yes, ask away.
Yeah, actually answered me privately, but my question was whether you help with the email templates, because obviously you know how to get email opens and responses, and I would have sent the ridiculous email.
Oh, Ron, you're on mute. There you go.
So yes, we will help you with that. One of the things that I was mentioning to Amanda before this meeting is that we will be adding some emails, just some basic templates. But if you do the lifetime deal, there's an option that'll ask you if you would like help writing your emails. And I'll actually we'll write personal templates just for you if you select that option with the lifetime deal. So that's there. When you go to sign up, it'll ask that question. And if you want us to write the emails for you, we'll do that for you.
And can I ask a quick follow-up question? Is there a quick trial to go through it before we choose our membership level?
So there is no trial that I have set up at this point, but every membership level comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee. So if you decide to do it and you don't want it, I'll just send you back your money. I won't fight you over the $97. But if during that 30 days you would like to upgrade, you can upgrade at that time also. So yeah.
Cool, thank you.
That's huge. So we could get in at the 10 pitches per month price. But if we use up those 10 pitches, which I did in my first, like I said, I was like, oh, I'm all done with my 10 that I had just set as a goal for myself, and in like an hour or something. So if we use them up, we could jump to the next level within that first 30 days. Cool. That's great. Okay, wonderful. Let's go over to Elizabeth. What's your question?
Hi, thank you, Marty and Ron, for being here today, and Amanda for hosting. My question is, I'm a leadership coach, and I work with like Association for Talent and Development, some of those different areas. And what I've noticed, like with conferences, is that they have their own application process for a lot of the professional memberships. So can you tell me about how like the systems that you both use, do those organizations also show up there, or what's that process like, I guess?
Marty, you want to go first?
Yeah, in the Charlie Jane system, they actually have templates you can use to fill out applications, because sometimes they are different for sure. In my group, I have a few different kinds of proposals as well. So we have our own pre-crafted proposals, because there's the proposal and there's the contract. So you have to have a contract as well. But a lot of people are requesting now, even though they're not part of a conference, they're requesting a proposal anyway. So you have form-based proposals, and then you have what they just say, please answer these questions, and you need to construct it in a way that it promotes you. So we have examples for that, and you just copy and paste them and then send them off. So that works really well.
That's nice, because I'd say that's definitely a place where I spend a lot of time when I go in to try to apply for those speaking gigs too. So if there was a way to kind of streamline it a bit, maybe do a little tweaking, that's awesome. Thank you.
It takes time too. I mean, you really have to, you have to send off a bunch of them and test, because you might not get replies from some people, but then you find out if you use the same description as you go, oh, well, that one I want to keep. So you kind of make a little copy and paste area of phrases that work really well for you.
Awesome, thank you.
So from the PitchDB perspective, I found that the larger the conferences are, the more applications they usually get. So they try to streamline through a web form. But I got booked for a TEDx talk by just going around that and just asking the lady directly, like, hey, are you all still looking for speakers? And she says, sure, not for this one, but for the one that's coming up in 6 months. And she says, just send me your stuff now, and you don't have to fill out the form because we don't have it set up. But this was in February of 2020. And she was like, yeah, you can speak in the June one. I'll contact you about it. So it just totally circumvented it because I was being proactive. So I didn't have to go through the formal form because they didn't even have it ready yet. Right.
Okay.
So I always tell people, if you want to be reaching out to conferences, you should minimum 6 months ahead of time. Right. Okay. That's why we give you the months, because if you're 3 months ahead of the conference, they've already started marketing. They've already made their one pager showing who's going to be speaking. So you're just way behind. But that's why one of the key questions is, are you looking for speakers for this conference or for a conference in the future? Because if someone drops out, then you can be slid in, right? But for a future one, you're kind of ahead of them on that game.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Ron.
Great question, great answers.
I just wanted to add one little thing, Amanda, to that. And that is that one of the things that people are really sort of neglecting is the fact that COVID is out there. I mean, we're not really neglecting that per se, but in the speaking business, there is a lot of opportunity for conferences that are booked. If you can, even if it's like a week before the conference, if you find a conference that's in your town, you might even get a call if you can make yourself available to the conference organizer, because people they're calling in sick at the last minute. They're saying, I can't get on a plane. I came down with COVID yesterday. So what do? Now they've got 3 empty spots. By simply making yourself accessible and known, even long after the fact that proposals were due to a conference, you can still be called on to be a speaker. So just kind of there's a little value added bonus for you.
I love that idea. Yeah, that's a great tip. And that's a good reason to ask in Ron's email, you know, are you looking for speakers for this one or the next one? It opens up to either one. That's so great. Love it. Lorraine, you put a question in the chat here. So for each event, how do you know what their budgets are so you can price effectively? Love your take on that.
So one of the things with the local associations, they usually are nonprofit organizations. So they have to file on an annual basis what their revenue was, and it's public. So we usually go in and get that and put that next to the local, the local association. So it'll show their annual budget for the program. It won't show their budget for their events, but you can at least know what they're making so that you have an idea. But I'm a firm believer that I don't believe in free speech, which means I think I should get paid at a speech no matter what, whether that's I get paid beforehand and they write me a check, or I'm going to negotiate coming in to speak for free, but I can sell from the stage. So if you can learn how to get paid before, during, and after, you never have to worry about the fees because you can find the fee structure that works best for you and works best for the event planner, regardless of what their budget is.
Love it.
Yeah, I'll
Great.
just add on to that and say the important thing is to get the phone call. If you can get them on the phone, then you can qualify who you're talking to. And if it's not a good fit for you, it's not a good fit. Don't push it because it's not a good fit. Don't try to make something not a good fit into a good fit because it's just not. So you always have to have your bottom line of what you're not willing to go below as far as payment, if payment is something that you're seeking and speaking.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Getting some more questions here. Yeah, Debbie, did that answer your question, or would you like to add on while we're still in the pricing zone?
If I could add on, because I am so new to this, and I know you and I talked about how sometimes you pay a fee or they do pay you, but what's a good way to find out what an industry standard is even? Like, do you guys let us know, like on Ron's example with John Lawson, is it, there were some numbers in there, I think in those columns about maybe what I wasn't sure what they paid or, how many people he presented to, or I wasn't sure what those numbers were.
Right. So imagine if Barack Obama or Donald Trump decided to take the industry standard speaking fee, right? We would say that the event organizer got a great deal, right? And this very popular person got ripped off, right? Well, who's to say that you're not the Barack Obama or the Donald Trump of your industry? So I think it's better on a negotiated basis versus trying to, I don't think I'm an average person, so I don't expect average outcomes. So I go in and I try to negotiate my own personal worth with the person. And if they can't meet it on an upfront basis, then I can negotiate. Maybe I can sell one of my programs or something of that sort, because I've gone in and done free gigs and made 20 grand. They could have never afforded to pay me 20 grand because they don't have that amount of money, but I can make it off of my coaching. I can make it off of software sales. So I think it's better to go in with your own values versus trying to look at the industry standard. I'll give you the best example. We were doing outreach for someone and they said that I only want $10,000. If the gigs don't pay 10 grand, I don't want to talk to them. So we reached out to people and he said, man, did you ever hear back from this group? I said, yeah, they only offered 7,500. So we declined. And he says, man, I would have taken that. And dude, you said 10 grand. These are your values. You can't give me a hard stop, but then there's some gray area on this thing where you value something more than money with this particular organization. So I believe in what Marty is saying. Get on the phone, right? Get on the phone. I'll go talk at the White House for free. I'll pay them if they want me to come talk at certain organizations. So I'm not a big fan of looking at what the industry standards are. I think that could be an excuse for taking action. Just get on the phone and give yourself a shot, and then negotiate your ass off to get it done.
I take a quantitative approach to pricing. For example, if you were to hire me right now to come over to your office and train your 15 staff for a full day tomorrow, that would be a 10-hour day for me. So I would charge $4,500 for that day. I can't do anything else. I am I can't check my text messages. I can't check email. I can't be on direct message with all my clients and giving them helpful advice and suggestions. I am exclusive to you. So you need to figure out what that daily rate is and figure now if I'm going to be traveling to Malaysia to give a speech, I'm going to be gone for like 2 weeks. How much am I going to have to charge to make that worthwhile? Okay. If I'm going to fly to Florida from Colorado where I am, well, that's going to be not just 2 days. There's going to be a travel day before and a travel day after. So if I'm at a 2-day conference, I have to account for that somehow. So you come up with your rates based on that to start with. And then of course you have a local organization that since you get to sleep in your own bed at night, you don't have to charge that for extra days, but you now have your base for what your day is worth. And now you're going to be gone. It was probably a half day that you'll be gone. So you can come up with your charges that way for speaking engagements.
Love it. You guys are resonating with different members of our audience. I hope that answered your question there, Debbie. Awesome. Great. Okay, let's go to Sierra's question here. So I think, Sierra, you're asking about the difference between training like within an organization versus a speaking on stage. Let me read her question. My question is, in any of these systems, does it also give opportunities for things like personal development trainings, equity and inclusion workshops, continuing education for organizations, or is it mainly the speaking opportunities as we've been talking about them?
So I can answer that. So the reason why my system is called PitchDB instead of SpeakerDB is because we wanted you to pitch whatever you wanted to pitch. If you wanted to be a sponsor at a conference, you should be able to pitch them. If you wanted to go in and do a local training at a local association, you should be able to pitch them that. You know, if I wanted, one of my favorite things to do in PitchDB is to search for podcasts that don't exist anymore, right? Because if I find the right one that doesn't exist, I'm going to reach out to them and try to buy it. Why? Because if they have 10,000 subscribers already, I can go in and launch a podcast with 10,000 people that have already subscribed to it, right? But if we only used it for pitching, such as speaking gigs or trying to be a guest on a podcast, I can reach out to this person about whatever. It's just an email address, right? To your heart's content to get the deal done. Whatever deal you want to get done with anybody that's a local association, podcast, conference, exhibitor, if it's in PitchDB, write them and try to get a deal done. If that means you coming on stage, if that means you going in to do consultations, if that means a partnership agreement, whatever. I have my assistant now reaching out to every podcast that I would be a great guest on, asking if I could advertise, right? Because I know that if they're talking to my audience, I should be advertising to them, right? Mm-hmm. So PitchDB is about pitching. Pitch whatever you want. You know?
Love that.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just like to add on that a lot of these topics are talked about every single week for 2 hours on Clubhouse in my Make Money Speaking Club with the great Lois Kramer. I mean, she has spoken at every National Speakers Association chapter at least twice or 3 times. She is like the go-to speaker business coach. So she, anything about pricing, anything about negotiating, anything about, the contract side of things, she is the go-to lady, and it's her actual room that she hosts every week, every Monday for 2 hours. So I strongly suggest that you get on there and just kind of sit in and ask questions. It's free consulting every single Monday at 5 o'clock Mountain Time. So that's 6 o'clock Central, 7 o'clock Eastern Time.
PM.
Yes.
Okay, well, that's late for you, Marty. I know you're an early bird. I was thinking it might have been 5 a.m. in fact.
Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Oh, what was that called? This Clubhouse, Brenda. What is it? Make Money Speaking.
Yep.
On Clubhouse. Yeah, great. Let's see, Leandra had a second question here.
I do. So, Marty, I would love to hear, and Sierra, the answer to that is yes. Sorry, I just saw that she was asking if Clubhouse was on Android. But Marty, I had a question for you. So I see how Ron's system works, and what I'm wondering is how your group complements that of like, when do you send the email versus when do you get on the call? Because like I can have my VA send, you know, if the templates are there, I can have my VA send them out. When do we cross over to actually getting on the phone? Oh, my sister told me that's old. Old people do this, kids do this. So when do we actually get on the phone?
Ron, do you want, well, yes, I can sure answer that. I mean, you send out the emails and then when they reply to you, that's when you suggest a phone call, unless they ask for you to specifically reply with something. Like what I do, if I'm cold emailing somebody, I like to ask permission to send my speaker one sheet to them. So then when they reply, you just have to get that dialogue going, that back and forth, so they're expecting something. Then you can set a next stage. So that's a great way to do it, is to send the one sheet to them, and then then say, I'm going to follow up with you in the next day or two. So that's when you pick up the phone and call them, or they might be, you know, I need somebody right now, let's get on the phone. So they might reply to you or just even call you on the phone at that point. So it can go in a lot of different directions, but the key is to make that first initial contact, and then, hey, you know, you never know, and you might get a yes. So you have to be prepared for that too. And a yes meaning a reply by email, or yes, or an actual phone call, or an answer to the question, what do you charge? Well, I'd like to answer that. I'm happy to answer that question, but I have a few questions first. And that's where you have to have the questions taped right on the side of your computer. That's where I have mine, 10 questions to ask, so that you can go right down the list. And that's how you can make sure that this is an opportunity that you want to be part of.
Cool, thank you.
One of the things I'll add to that, Leandra, again, I'm a salesperson by nature. So I'm a firm believer in multi-channel communications. So I have no problem with connecting with someone on LinkedIn, sending them an email. And if I got their phone number, I'm going to call them too, right? Because if they're like me, I check my emails once a day at like 11 p.m., right? But I have 0 unread text messages, right? But I always check my voicemails throughout the day. So I think multi-channel, here's what I would say. This is probably the best advice. Don't give yourself an excuse to fail, right? And a lot of times we'll say, well, I only want to do this, I want to do that. No, do everything. Do everything until you figure out what works for you. Because guess what? Your competition who's listening to me, if they're doing what we're suggesting, what me and Marty are suggesting, they're going to beat you. Again, 85% of speakers are taking a passive approach, right? So all you got to do is beat 14% of them, right? If you can beat the 14% that are doing proactive, maybe they're only sending out emails. Well, if you can send out emails and text and call, you're going to dominate, right? So the difference between ordinary and extraordinary is the little extra in the beginning, right? And just remember that, do that little bit of extra, and you'll be surprised that that result is huge. It's compounding.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you. We are learning from some pros in the speaker biz here, and I just love it. And guess what? That's where you're all headed. If you want to, the path is here for you to get many more speaking gigs than ever. Personally, for me, where my life is right now, I'm focused on podcasts. I want to stay home if I can. And I would love to get a speaking gig or two along the way, but my goal is podcasts. So whether or not you can take all of this information in and decide you're going to do all of it, maybe that's you, or maybe there's a piece of it that you know you need to do that fits for you. That's great, because whatever action you can take is going to beat inaction, to quote Ron here. So we're at the end of our meeting here. I want to let you go if you need to, and I also just like to stay on for another couple minutes with anybody who has lingering questions or wants to get a moment, one-on-one with me, or if Ron and Marty can stick around, that's great too. But yeah, thank you so much, everybody. And please follow up with me, Marty, and Ron if you can, and hope to talk to you soon. All right, I'm going to end this recording here.